Between what we've lived through and what our day jobs demand, we've spent some serious time researching neuroscience. The pattern we keep seeing is the way we think shapes the way we behave. And over time, those behaviors shape our outcomes, often before we even realize we've made a choice.
So in that research of neuroscience, it opened the door to neuroplasticity, habit loops, stress responses, microdecisions, all the brainy stuff that explains why just try harder is a trash strategy. In this lab, we're rewiring habits one experiment at a time.
Welcome to I² Lab. We've been on our second round of 75 Intentional in the lab, and one of the things with 75 Intentional in the lab is to read 10 pages of a nonfiction book every day. So I've had this one on my list for a while, and I was like, I don't even know how this is what I'm gonna get from this. I've been kind of waffling about it because I don't like to read books that don't kind of grab me, and I've never played tennis before, I've seen a couple matches here and there. I know what this love means, I think. I don't know. It means like zero.
She's heard the word love before.
During a tennis match.
Yeah.
I'm not an avid, I don't know much about tennis anyways.
Yeah.
But the book is called The Art of Winning Tennis. So I'm just a couple of chapters in. And one of the things that brought up, I can see how it relates to us. One of the premises that was brought up was the score. If you didn't see, and this would go for any game, I would think, I didn't see the match. What was the score? Or I didn't see the basketball game. What was the score? And sometimes you could tell, it was like 50-2. Like you were probably like, that was probably a boring game. Like this team did all of the stuff and the other team tried.
Just got spanked the whole time.
Yeah. Or if it was 115-117, you maybe it was
a close game.
It was a close game. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but he really went into, and this is where I don't, because I'm not a tennis player, I don't understand all the intricacies of it, but he got really passionate about this part. He was like, 3-7 could mean blah, 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 blah. And he went into all this stuff, it could mean this, but it could also just mean like this. And he was like, the score doesn't tell you the whole story. The score doesn't tell you what really happened in the last bit of the game, how it went. He was like, it could mean so many different things, which got me thinking, does the scale actually tell you the whole story? And then what is the thing that we always go to measure success on a weight loss journey? What is the one, we go into this as an example of when we're teaching lead is we give weight loss as an example of inputs, outputs in the process, IPO, inputs, process, outputs actually. What is one of the outputs? What is the one thing you always go to when you're like, I got to lose weight? You step on the scale. And that's
the very first thing you do.
The very first thing we talk about doing.
You want to see where you're starting at.
Right.
Right.
Right. Because I'm going to start measuring that as one of my indicators of progress. But man, does it not tell you the whole story? But we always go to that. So it really got me thinking that, because from day to day, you might be the same and you might have had a perfect 7 days. Perfect in my mind can be totally different from your mind, but perfect for me, near perfect, is, I got all my water in by a certain time and I pooped every day, whatever it is. My sleep was in the 80s, if I measure my sleep, or I feel pretty rested. I would give myself a B+ or an A when it comes to my energy level. I journaled every day. I walked every day for 10 minutes plus. Those are the things that cumulatively for over a 7-day period, I would say that they're consistent. At least perfect might not be the right word to say, but the scale might actually even be up. If I was doing all that and I wanted to step on the scale on Sunday to measure my progress for the last 7 days, what if it's up 2 pounds? And I was like, are you kidding me? I put in all this effort. I was perfect and it didn't move. That's super frustrating, but it doesn't tell the whole story. It doesn't tell what's going on inside the body. It doesn't say that you actually maybe gained like some muscle because you were doing some body weight squats or something. Are you going to say something?
Mm-mm.
Oh, she's nodding her head. She's got, anyway, she looked
I
like
looked pensive.
She looked pensive. You looked pensive.
There's nothing going on behind the eyes. Keep going.
People can become obsessed with the score while ignoring the game, which I think goes into what we need to talk about today. We can become obsessed with the scale while ignoring everything else that happens along the journey. It doesn't tell you who fought through adversity, who fought through that one event that you knew you were going to have that food pusher friend that was there, that this is like your weight loss nemesis, but it's been your best friend for 20 years, but you know this is the one hard sell you have in your life and you don't want to give up that person. Who adapted their strategy, who cleaned out their pantry this week when they haven't really done it at the start, or they kind of let some things creep back into the house and it's time to redo that. It's time to do a purge. We need to clean this. We need to tighten this ship up. Who stayed composed under pressure? Who got a phone call that wasn't a fun phone call to have, and it totally upended your whole weekend because you needed to go to the hospital or you needed to go babysit the kids while they ran off into something that they had. It's all the things that just kind of interrupt your life, that kind of stuff.
If you think from a sports perspective, I'm thinking of football. Like they always watch the game tape. And you watch all the plays, the games, when people do this play, they responded this way. When, they missed this catch, but they got that one. And you watch the game tape to really see and learn what to do in the next game.
It's true because just like anything, the score tells you who won.
Right.
But it doesn't tell you how they won. And I think that's what we can really get into in this episode. The scale tells you if you've got to your goal or whatever number you have in your head that you want to see. But there's other ways to tell you how you got there, or that you're metabolically more flexible than you were 100 pounds ago, or that you're actually metabolically more resilient than you were 50 pounds ago. Your knees don't feel like they did 50 pounds ago. Your joints, you don't have as many headaches. You don't find yourself in this weird 2 to 4 o'clock slump every day where you're just like, I can't even keep my eyes open. Like, I need a nap.
Or I just recently did my blood draw at work.
Oh, yeah.
And like all the different numbers, your A1C, your HDL, you don't know where those numbers are.
Yeah.
But not necessarily unless you just got a blood draw at work, but those are most likely in a better place. You're not measuring those necessarily.
No.
At least not frequently.
No. I think it's important. The scale doesn't tell you, and this is kind of tricky unless you're really paying attention to it sometimes, like how many promises you kept to yourself. How many times did you go out to eat in the last 3 months? And how many times were you able to keep the promise to yourself that you said you were going to do? I'm not going to get the dessert this time. I'm going to have one piece of bread because it's this house-made bread and it's so good. I'm going to dip it in the oil. I'm just going to have one piece though because one piece is fine. That's it's going to scratch that itch. I can still have it. You're not completely getting rid of food groups. By the way, sugar is not a food group. Fast food is not a food group. Potato chips are not a food group. Potatoes are, but anyways.
In a food group.
They're
not a food group, Lori.
Yeah, I know. We could split hairs on some of this, but it doesn't tell you who adapted their strategy, those kinds of things. We said that, but how many binge urges you navigated. It doesn't tell you that. The scale does not tell you that. The scale doesn't tell you how many times you chose to restart instead of quit. I hear that a lot these days. Like, I'm still doing it. I haven't quit on myself yet. I'm like, that's exactly right. Because the only way you don't get to your goal is if you quit. That is the only way you don't get there. That's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't get any easier than that. You just don't quit. You just don't quit. It doesn't tell you how much stronger you've become My ankles feel more stable. My knee used to kind of buckle in when I would do this one thing, when I would sit down on this one chair. It doesn't do that anymore. And you don't notice those things until the moment you do. Or somebody might say something to you like, man, you seem like you're getting up out of that chair a little easier.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they don't say it at all. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just do the things and it just kind of, you totally miss these moments that actually is measuring success that the scale can't tell you. How your relationship with food has changed. Like, I don't have certain things in the house anymore. Not that I can't have them, but I've just
chosen not to have them in the house
right now. Yeah.
Right.
I think one of the biggest things, we've talked about this a bit, is how you've learned to trust yourself. If there is one habit that we can really lean into, it's the habit of doing what we say we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's pretty broad.
Even if it's hard, even if your brain is telling you that you want to do X, but you're going to do Y because that's what you said you were going to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like today, I left a Voxer this morning to the group and I was like, meal 1's planned. I was like, but meal 2 isn't. And I know that sounds wild to you guys, but I also it's going to be one of two things. So on the weekends, we will sometimes give ourselves the novelty, I'm doing air quotes, of a choice, but it's not a free for all either. One of two places that we're probably going to go, I know I can make a great decision at both of them. I can also make a really terrible decision, but I know the decision I'm going to make. I think what's interesting is the irony is that those things that we just talked about are actually far more predictive. They're much more of a foreshadow of long-term success than the number on the scale it is. And we don't measure hardly any of those things.
Mm-mm. You didn't even, I don't think you mentioned this one. It's close to the scale, but measuring your body measurements.
100%.
I mean, that's
100%.
so close to the scale, but it is one removed.
The scale can go up while the inches go down, though.
Yeah.
Are you measuring yourself at all?
I'm not.
You've got to measure
I know.
yourself.
I have on past journeys. I was just thinking when you right before we started to record, this is probably the first weight loss journey I have not had an Excel file.
What?
Yeah, that tracks like.
Do you want my Excel file?
No, I don't. I'm actually kind of glad that I don't.
Is it freeing in some sense?
Well, because I used to focus, because in Excel I have, okay, if I lose 1 pound or 2 pounds every week, then I'm forecasting that I'm going to be at this weight by this date. And I'm not focusing on that this time because I don't have the Excel file. And normally I'll track my measurements in that same Excel, like my body measurements in that same Excel file. And that's probably why I haven't done it, because I don't have a handy place to put it. Like, but I don't want the Excel file. I'm kind of liking that I'm not.
I will say my Excel file this time looks much different than in the past.
Yeah.
So it has a weight, but it is not the first thing I track.
Yeah.
The first thing I track is my sleep score.
Okay.
And you could put this in any order you want. And I've played with it. I started this after I lost my first 100 pounds. I started tracking because I wanted to see which macros were yielding the highest results. And yes, there was a little bit of it. Like, I liked to see like, okay, another 10 pounds, another 10 pounds, another 10 pounds. Like that, there was a part of that at first. But then I started tracking more of what my energy level was that I felt. Did I have a bowel movement that day? That's on there. It says poop. And you can put a check on the box for that day. Did I drink all my water? And then I do have a calorie point. And then in the last few months, I've actually put the calories that I wanted to have and then the calories I did have and what's the over under on those. And then I actually have my TDEE, my total daily energy expenditure, listed out and how much I'm over or under, because I'm in maintenance at this point. And then at the bottom, I also have my daily activity, my steps, my cardio, because my watch gives me some of that stuff. and then my resting heart rate, those kinds of metrics. And I could start to see that if my sleep score is down, my resting heart rate is up. Like I could start to see those kinds of trends. And then I have a Hume scale, which there's other scales that will do this, but it's measuring my muscle mass, my fat mass, and my water. So I don't do that every day, but I have I can see the trend. I usually maybe do it like once or twice a week, maybe 3 or 4 times at the most. So I could see over the month my trends like, well, yeah, I was up 4 pounds, but the water showed like it was extracellular water or whatever it is that it tells you. So those are the things that I measure now. So it's not, the weight is actually the last thing on it. And it's just kind of there as
good. Yeah.
So it's more of a, and I haven't taken my measurements in a really long time. I need to take them now that we're talking about it. But I didn't take them until I was down 50 pounds. So I don't know what my measurements were. I have an idea. I know the size of clothes I wore. It was a size 28 when I first started, but I didn't take my measurements until I was 300 pounds. So I have my measurements from then, and then from then on, I took them about once a month. And it was interesting. There was 1 month I only lost 4 pounds, but I lost the most amount of inches. So it's your body recomping. It's
then you can say good.
Yeah.
Okay. What is success? Who cares if it's just 4 pounds? Because I moved where it actually mattered. I succeeded where it actually mattered.
I think that's really important. I mean, the score doesn't tell you if you're watching a sport. It doesn't tell you the player who fought through an injury, the comeback after losing momentum. It doesn't tell you the mental battles, the adjustments, and all of this goes to the resilience. All of this shakes hands right with weight loss. If you only lost 2 pounds, I say only 2 pounds is a lot of weight.
Yeah.
If you lost 2 pounds this month, it doesn't tell you the whole story. It doesn't tell you that you also gained 4 pounds of muscle or whatever, or that you're really holding on to an extra 4 pounds of water for whatever reason, because the hormones or whatever. I think we lose the sight of it if all we're looking at is the scale. So measurements is another big one. How your clothes fit is another big one. That could tell you your success if we're looking at material things like that. But there's a lot more. The scale isn't bad either. I want to make sure, like, I still get on the scale every morning.
You tell everybody to get on the scale every morning.
I know,
too.
I do. And I'm like, you don't have to. If this is something that you're just someone who gets on it every Monday, then fine. I also think if you get on the scale every day, you should look at it as more of a trend than an everyday thing. Like, what does it look like over the last week? What is your average? And what was your lowest weight for the week? And maybe you take that as if you wanted to turn in a number or you wanted to check a box. But it is just data. It is a tool. The problem is when it becomes our only point of data. I did leave something recently when I was like, I wonder what it would be like for me to only weigh myself once a week and to use that scale only once a week. In the past, this is why I'm struggling with it, is because in the past when I stopped getting on the scale was when I stopped doing other things too. So not getting on the scale for me is linked to quitting.
They used to tell us in Weight Watchers back in the day to only weigh yourself once a week.
Yeah.
Because it could demotivate you if you're, because you do fluctuate. And then people get frustrated when they're like, dang it, I'm up a pound.
And I'm not going to lie. It totally set my mood for the day.
Yeah.
If I was down, I was like, yeah. It also, if you're down, it could also play with you in another way. Well, you're like, I am down. Maybe I could have that.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have that bag of chips today. I mean, I'm totally down.
I mean, I still have 3 more days in the week to get it back off. It's early on, so I've got time to
it
get
messes
where I need
with
to go.
you. Well, we did that. We talked about that all the time. Where if you weighed in on Monday at Weight Watchers or whatever it was, well, now on Tuesday I can have whatever I want because now I've got 6 days to get my shit together. That's just so diet mentality.
Yeah.
that shouldn't matter at all. You should be doing the same things every day.
Consistency is the habit we are trying to build for maintenance.
Yes. If you still find yourself going, okay, now I can loosen up, you still got some work to do.
Mm-hmm.
I still have some work to do there.
Yeah.
I totally find it's not as strong, but I totally, if like Mike is like, let's do an in-body. I'm going to do an in-body on you on Wednesday. Like I'll like find myself like being like really extra good or whatever that means. And then Wednesday comes and I get on it. And then Thursday I'm like, there's a bit of a breather that I still experience. So I'm sure something's completely ingrained neurologically in there, but it doesn't feel as strong for me. So I'm still working with it. Yeah. I'm still having to figure out like, okay. And then I have been catching myself. I'm like, no, that doesn't like, the reins aren't like, we're not restricting any, there's no food that's a never food for me anymore. And I think that's really important for everyone to hear. I don't think you should have any never foods. I think there are foods that you can cool it on for a period of time that you know that, all right now is just not a great time for me with this kind of food.
Yeah.
Like I don't have nuts in the house. Right now we don't have any. I actually do have nut butter. We have almond butter, pecan butter, and walnut butter. They're very good.
I love nut butters.
But I couldn't at first when I first got to maintenance because I couldn't control myself around them.
Yeah.
So they were out of the house for a while.
But now you're working with it in a different way.
Yeah. Now there's plenty in the house and I don't find that I'm over there with a spoon digging into this plastic container of pecan butter that cost $25 because I had to get the organic kind. And now I just consumed 1,800 calories in 2 minutes.
There was a point in my life.
Is that all very specific?
Yeah, there was a point in my life where if I had a certain amount of points left in the day, I would just eat a spoonful of peanut butter.
I remember that. I would have a Twix. There was a Twix bar I would have.
You would have a Twix bar.
I would have a Twix bar. That's 2 Twix bars, I think, if I remember right. I think it was around $2.50. So I could have one for $1.25.
Gotcha.
And 2 Twix bars, at one point was 5 points.
Okay.
So I could have it for
Dang, I didn't know that.
It wasn't that much.
You never told me that secret.
Well,
I was sitting here eating a spoonful of peanut butter for 5 points. I could have had a Twix bar.
That came out of my panic attacks. So
because they're low glycemic.
I was told that I needed to have low glycemic food. So I really leaned into that. Watermelon is high glycemic. So that was off the list.
I'm never having watermelon again.
But Twix were like medium. They weren't low. But of all of the candy bars, Twix was like
the lowest.
The lowest.
Yeah.
It was like low medium. So I had got it into my head that I could have one a day. So at Sam's Club, you could get like a carton of Twix. So I had a carton of Twix bars sitting out. And I didn't go. There was one
if you're moderating yourself with it,
I did.
I mean,
so there was a time in my life that I could say, I'm just going to have one Twix bar today.
I have a belief that no food is off limits.
I think that is a very healthy belief. And I think the more people put a never off limits connotation around food, the more you're going to want that food. Because we're all toddlers at the end of the day. We're all like, well,
tell me I can't have something. Well, and that's, I don't like to be told what to do either.
Well, yeah, that's the rebel inside you too.
Apparently I have a little bit of a rebel inside me, but I'm like, don't tell me what to do. Why are you telling me I can't? Then my questioner comes out. Why are you telling me I can't have that?
Oh, yeah, that okay. So it is your questioner.
Yeah.
It's not really your rebel. It's your questioner. The heart of this is the scale doesn't tell you everything. If the scale disappeared for 6 months, how would you know you were winning? And this is what I talked about the other morning on my Voxer, because I mean, people on my VIP group are like, what is she talking about? I'm like, what would it look like? And then I just muse while I'm recording. I'm like, what would it look like for me if I didn't step on the scale for an entire week? How would I know? But I'm still going to get up every day and drink my water. I'm still going to get up every day and eat the food that I had planned to eat. And then I'm doesn't mean I'm not going to log my food just because I'm not stepping on the freaking scale.
At this point, you know the cause and effect of what you do and what you don't do, and then what happens on the scale.
So I don't think me not getting on the scale means I quit.
It shouldn't. Unless it's in your head, and
I wonder if it'll. I actually kind of want to run this experiment.
You should try it and see.
I kind of want to, yeah, I think I'm going to.
It's kind of freeing.
I'm thinking, I'm like,
well,
what
because
like?
we always say when it comes to IPO, you
Inputs, process, output.
and you don't monitor the outputs.
Right.
You monitor the inputs.
That's what matters.
And the scale is an output.
It's just one. And it's funny because Mike just asks me my weight once a week. He
Right.
doesn't ask it Wednesday and Friday.
Yeah.
He only asks me Monday.
If you're watching the inputs, if you in your process,
It might be freeing
then
for
you
me,
don't
to be
even
honest.
need to look at the outputs. Now, I'm not saying in a weight loss situation or in a maintenance situation you shouldn't weigh yourself ever.
Yeah.
But technically, the inputs in the process is what impacts the output.
Yeah.
So watching the output is the wrong thing to do.
It really is. It's I follow this gentleman on Instagram, and he's lost 200 pounds and he's got another 200 to go, I think, or 150 to go. And he's working with an instructor, and his instructor is like, we're taking the scale out of this equation. You're gonna weigh in once a month. And you could see he visibly was relieved, but also very like,
Yeah.
oh shit. Because every time he has put himself in a situation where he is doing it very publicly, like he's doing it he's documenting his journey on Instagram for everybody to see. So of course, whenever he weighs in, he records it and he posts it. So it's very public, and was starting to get to the point where it was just causing a huge amount of anxiety for him.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something he felt proud of. It was just this like knot in his stomach that
He wasn't working with it in a healthy way.
No. So,
Yeah.
I kudos to his trainer. That's like,
Yeah.
we're going to do once a month.
I do like caveat to what I just said. Like, oh, you shouldn't even look at the outputs. You should look at the outputs every once in a while. So I like that the trainer said like once a month.
Yeah.
Because
The scale isn't bad.
the output, the scale in this situation, or if you are manufacturing stuff and you're looking at the final product, if there's an issue with the output, then you know that there's a problem somewhere in your inputs and processes.
Right.
So it's good to look at the scale every once, whatever frequency you want to set for yourself.
I think I'm going to do once a week.
I like it.
I think I'm going to I am going to do once a week. Okay. So the scoreboard. So what would be our scoreboard now instead of the scale? I'm thinking tracking consistency. Instead of how much weight did I lose or what's my weight, what's the scale say? It's how many days did I keep my commitments? Not perfection. How many days did I keep my commitments? So maybe that's another little tracker on my Excel
I
file.
like that. And if my commitments are
Hitting the protein,
water,
taking the walk,
movement, yeah.
tracking the food, go to bed on time. Ooh, I should do a bed on time.
Yeah, when we did the sleep workshop, the sleep lab, consistency with sleep was one of the big takeaways I took away from that. I was like, I need to, because I'm pretty good with sleep,
Yeah.
but I'm not always consistent.
That's the big thing. And consistency in all of these things predicts outcomes.
Yeah.
So some sort of a consistency ranking. The scale simply reports them later is
Right.
really what it's doing. Okay.
A lag
the
measure,
lag,
as we like
yeah.
to say.
Yeah. It's a lag measure. I think for me also, a scoreboard could be some emotional regulation. That can I experience stress, frustration, boredom, loneliness, just the weight of like this whole week we did training and it was just mentally exhausting. Can I experience a pretty good load of mental exhaustion without turning to food?
Yeah. I think that's where the journaling really
I think that's where the
comes in.
journaling really,
Yeah. That's
that's
the deep inner
progress for me. Even if the scale hasn't moved, I would still consider that progress for me. Recovery speed could be one. If you are someone who is kind of doing some waffling, maybe you have considered what would be a lapse or whatever it is. Did I make a mistake? Not did I make a mistake, but more of like, okay, how quickly did I return? How quickly did I get back? We talked about being on the wagon or off the wagon. On or off the wagon could just be one step left or right.
Right.
It's not as far as we have concocted it in our mind to be.
Yeah.
You had one bite. You had a bag of nuts. You had some chips. Okay.
Well, and I think that's where You guys are probably going to want me to shut up, but I think that's where not having any foods off limits is important, at least for me.
It is.
Because when I have said, I don't have that, that's when I go off the wagon. That's when I go face first into whatever food I have said is off limits for me.
Yeah.
So if nothing is off limits, if I can have anything I want, as long as it's within my calorie deficit and my macros and my idea of what consistency looks like, and then it only becomes one serving of said item, one serving, one bite, whatever it is, and then I can have it.
And even if you didn't have a calorie deficit day, what if you had a calorie maintenance day?
Right.
Which is only the difference of about 500 calories, by the way.
I kind of do. My weekends are heavier than during the week for me.
So you have maintenance weekends and you have deficit during the week.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
As long as overall you're still getting to your...
It's like a 200 calorie difference. So it's
It really isn't
crazy, but it's enough to get me excited that I can loosen the reins just a little bit on the weekend.
Yeah, as long as
I can have a little bit more of something.
So how quickly did I return if there's an off the wagon type of situation? I think that's important because it's about faster recovery. So the one cookie doesn't become a weekend of free for all.
Face down in double stuffed Oreos.
Oh man, we were at Target last night.
That wasn't too specific, was it?
we found ourselves in the cookie aisle because sometimes we'll just muse and we haven't seen it. I said, did you see this? There's cinnamon bun Oreos. There's Reese's Oreos.
Were you telling me this?
Oreo,
I swear Adam told me this.
Oreo cookie stuffed Oreos, by the way, now. We didn't buy any.
Okay. I think Adam was telling me this and I wasn't really listening because I didn't really want to hear about the cinnamon bun Oreos.
There's cinnamon bun Oreos.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. My response was like, oh, yeah? It's like, I don't want to hear about it.
I'm on a different journey, but I could look at those things.
I know. It was fact finding. It was interesting to understand.
We also found ourselves in the protein ice cream aisle. There may have been some of that purchase last night. Anywho, another scoreboard would be identity shifts. Who am I becoming?
Mm-hmm.
I exercise. I'm someone who tastes. It is more journaling.
Yeah.
I am an active person. I do track my food. I am someone who is mindful. Maybe it doesn't become those. Maybe it is more like I am someone who is mindful. I am someone who is becoming metabolically resilient or who is metabolically resilient. The scale measures the weight. Identity measures transformation, which is really the next phase of all of this.
The true behavior change.
Yeah. Trust, another one. This is the one that can get emotional for a lot of people. Many people just have spent decades breaking promises to themselves and not even realizing it. I did for the longest time. The true victory isn't losing the 50 pounds. It's reaching the point where your brain believes you. Your brain believes that you are somebody that's going to take the walk today, that's going to eat the food that they told themselves they were going to eat at 8 a.m. and it's still 8 p.m. and you're doing the same thing. When you say, I'll go for a walk, and then you actually do, that's self-trust.
And think about that for a moment. You have one brain. You are one individual, one whole human being, and your own brain doesn't trust or believe the other half of your brain.
We don't talk about how important this is. I'm not even doing it justice.
I got chills when you said that because I've never really thought about it in that context before, but you are one singular organism, like one human being, and you have those opposing thoughts. And we've talked about this many, many times, that cognitive dissonance is opposing thoughts, that struggle. That's where the struggle is real. And if your brain can stop fighting itself and just trust itself and believe in itself, that's when the struggle isn't as hard. That's when you walk by the cookies at work and you're like, you know what? Don't want one.
Yeah, I'm good.
And I actually don't want one.
I have a theory about how much I had panic attacks before. I think I was experiencing so much cognitive dissonance because I couldn't trust myself that it was coming out. It was manifesting as adrenaline dumps and panic attacks because I couldn't even trust myself to do the things that I said I was going to do.
Was it around weight loss? Do you remember?
I don't even know that I know.
Okay.
I think, I know she just
My
was
eyes were like, oh, you're scary.
I think I was disassociating with it so much because I didn't want to turn to and see what it actually was. I think it was very subconscious. I think it was just below my conscious thought. I think I just didn't even want to deal with it. So I don't even know. But I think it was somewhere along those lines.
We were very young when you were going through that.
It was like 23, 24.
And I remember trying to help you through it.
And of course, Randy's like, just don't feel that way.
Well, and I basically said the same thing Randy did, but maybe in a nicer way. I was like, can't you just like
not think about those things?
Not think about those things?
It's the worst thing to tell somebody who's having a panic attack.
I'm just like, it's like, because when because I, not a panic attack, but just anxiety in general, right? Like, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm going into this store and I might have vertigo attack and I'm not going to be able to walk straight something.
You can't see the step in front of you when you're in the middle of it, though.
Right. But I will, though, in those situations. But this is like very low level anxiety, not a panic attack. I would think, you know what? Don't focus on that. Mm-hmm. You can't control that. Don't worry about it. If it happens, it happens. Stay on the side of the aisle. You're going to be fine. I think and then I move forward.
There is a point of anxiety that you can do that. But where I
was lower level.
Where I was at, I couldn't even see.
And I was trying to help you with my understanding of. I
was like, get out of here.
I tried to help her.
I wanted it to work.
It wasn't helpful, though.
Okay. Of course, there is measuring your body composition. So if you have a scale that tells you how much water you have versus how much muscle versus how much, but that is kind of a form of a scale. So it's a little bit cheating.
I want to be careful with that. I do want to do that, but I want to be careful with it because I don't want to just replace one scale for the other.
It has helped me change my relationship with the scale, I will say, as I've gone into maintenance. And it's another way of me able to measure it. It's a way that I can still get a dopamine hit without seeing the scale go down.
Right.
To be clear.
And I'm starting to go into the phase of body composition and just trying to, trying to build more muscle. So I think you still have to measure it. So I think I'm going to go down that way.
I think it's a healthy way to go. And it's also a fun way to have a goal after the goal as you get into maintenance. There's a bit of neuroplasticity on this one too. The brain rewires itself around repeated behaviors, which this whole thing is about repeated behaviors. But every time someone chooses their planned meal, goes to the gym or takes the walk, when motivation is low, when you don't want to do that stuff, gets back on track after you ate something that you maybe was considering it not on your plan, you're strengthening that neural pathway. And that's the neural pathways you want to strengthen. You don't want to strengthen the other ones that were the way you behaved with food previously when you were at a different weight. The scale may not reflect that immediately, but the brain is changing regardless. So I think that's really important to talk about. Anything else you'd want to add to the scale not telling you the whole story?
No, I would it's just one point of information. I think that's important to keep in mind. It's just, we make it the end all beat all.
And the scale is not the story.
Until next time, stay curious.
Keep experimenting.